This is Rebecca, the Steampunk Planner, and I have started the painting process. I have let this dry. I've got my towel at hand. I outlined this using the inks and two of my pens. One of them was Celadon Cat. The other color is the whimsical Inaho, which is a beautiful, beautiful color. So we're going to go ahead and start with the Celadon Cat this time. I have grabbed a Futu Fluffy Round and my Makeup Forever liner brush. I am going to apply the Celadon Cat. And like I said, I already outlined and then used water to blend out the lines that are here. I'm going to use the Celadon Cat to start blocking in areas. I am speeding this process up because this is a longer process than I expected it to be. Don't know why I thought it was going to be a shorter process. Yeah, right. We're painting here. But what I'm doing is I'm laying down the ink and using a slightly wet, not overly wet brush to blend it out. I'm going to make hers kind of a maybe like a mermaid-esque look. You can see since the sketch, I did in the painting process refine her face a lot more. I really love it. I've decided not to have her eyes open. I did adjust her nose and her mouth, so I'm really, really happy with how this sketch turned out. I'm also really happy on how the painting turned out. Since I'm wanting this to be more of a monochromatic, I am going to only use those specific inks and use their shadowing process to help me create some depth in here. Also, I am not fully painting in the areas, allowing a little bit more of light to come through, which the light is going to be the color of the page. The ease of this is the fact that I am able to fast forward and you're not going to miss anything on here. I literally am dipping into the bottle of ink. You might want to do something like, I did have a palette, but I've got all my watercolors set up in there and I don't want to contaminate the color that I'm going for. I really want this to be a true color. So, but I do recommend keep it clean and grab a palette. I didn't. And that's fine. It didn't hurt the ink one bit. This brush, the smaller one, which is what I'm using to dip, never went into the water. So I don't have to be concerned or worried about water contamination into my ink. You want to make sure that you don't, even when you're cleaning your fountain pens, using fountain pen cleaning solution, distilled water, tap water, it doesn't matter. You want to make sure that when you are filling your inks, you are not filling it with a wet pen or you're not putting in a water wet brush, because then you will contaminate the ink. And companies are not going to be able to back their products properly because of the fact that you have contaminated them. So here is the secondary color, which is the Inaho by the Pilot Irishizuku Pen Company. And it's a beautiful green brown that I just love. It's a fountain pen ink that I love to draw paint with as well as use in my fountain pen. But what I was saying a moment ago is, like, I live in Kentucky and there is a lot of limestone in my water here. We do use a filtration system, but that does not mean everything is out of the water. So if you dip a pen that has other inks in it, leftover shimmer that's in it or leftover water, then your ink is going to be contaminated and you cannot decontaminate it. There's just no way. One other thing about keeping the beautiful colors of your inks is make sure they're either in their boxes or out of the sun at least. Mine are all in their boxes unless they did not come with a box, which some did because I have purchased them off of Amazon and they just didn't show up in a box. But you want to make sure they stay out of the direct sun because the pigments in the colored ink will be faded by the light. So right now I'm using that Inaho color, which is just like I said, gorgeous, and blocking in the opposite side. Now I am going to go ahead and work on the face. So I'm going to use the Inaho color to start blocking in softly the different shadows of the face. I am going to use the fluffy round brush to introduce water to soften this down more. I did not want this to be really hard, and you can see as I'm working that when I do put it down, it isn't as sheer that I feel should be used for on the face. Now there is going to be darker aspects when you have more shadowing and everything, but I really don't want her face overly shadowed, but I do want it to be well colored. Speaking of coloring, I have mentioned a couple times that I want this look to be more monochromatic. What do I mean? Monochromatic is one color, different saturations. Now I have two colors here in front of you. So that's already not what I just said, but it is. What makes these monochromatic is the fact that they are both formulated with the same colors. So the Celadon cat is green, or should say blue, with some yellow to give it that green look. Inaho is yellow with green, which is yellow and blue, mixed into it to give it that almost hay brown type look. This being said, I'm using two different saturations of green for the most part to create this look. As I work, I will start bringing them together, and it will give you a very monochromatic wash, which looks beautiful, I think. My opinion. If it's not yours, I completely understand, but I think this looks great. Now that I have established everything with the Inaho color, and I have finished blocking out all of the shadows in a softer look, not a hard look. I want to keep this nice and soft. So it's not going to be, the shadows aren't going to be hard, everything else isn't going to be a very striking color. So now I'm going to go ahead and blend the Inaho into the Celadon cat. Both of these being not waterproof or water resistance allows me to reactivate even though the Celadon cat has dried. And it's fine that it has dried. The only thing that I will throw out there is the more water that is used to blend in this, the more the paper itself will start to kind of pill the little fibers, which is not fun. but this paper is supposed to be able to take what I'm doing right now. At this point, I am bringing the Celadon cat into the areas where I have Inaho to create dimension and definition in certain areas, as well as combining the colors for that monochromatic look. So I'm going to go ahead and jump forward so you can see what I have created using both colors. I think the combination thereof that has given me these beautiful colors is perfect for that kind of mermaid-esque look. I love how this came out, and it kind of is a little Art Nouveau, so I'm fine with that. Once I have got everything put away, I'm going to grab a bag, put that underneath, put my pencil board on top so it will absorb the water, set some books on top of that so that it will dry. But I want to show you, it barely even came through. I honestly did not have anything come through. And once this dried, the only thing I had to deal with was the wrinkles that it caused as it dried, which you see right here. And other than that, the only thing that you got was shadowing, and I'm going to show you what it looks like with me writing on the back of this. So when I filmed this was on the 20th. So right now I am going back and filling in the 18th. I do have notes to the side that I am using to remind me of what was going on. And this is my Esterbrook Estie in Winter White, as well as having the Irishizuku Inoho ink in it. And I'm curious on how this will show up when I have already painted with this color. In the background, you hear my husband, though I did let him know I'm doing a voiceover. He is working on putting the dishes away. This happened periodically, but I don't mind, since especially he is putting the dishes away and I don't have to do it. Thank you, hun. I'm going to be doing some more jumps so that we can see everything quickly and you can make a judgment for yourself on how this worked. So now I am using the notes from the 18th to update my daily page with what I studied and my prayer journal and thoughts. I am using my Esterbrook Estie Raven with the Shogun ink in it. It did bloom in areas, but I almost wonder more if it's the tip of my nib than the fact that I wrote over an inked area. So here we are, the full day filled in, and the inks worked well, even the Inaho over itself. I will state, using the extra fine pen nib, did not have any issues with the blooming over top of areas that I already had inked. So that's a thought, maybe sending my Raven in to be worked on by Kirk Spear. And then I will go ahead and show you what it looks like from behind on the back page. As I stated, this is completely dry, otherwise I would not have been able to write on this, and this is what the back page looks like. There is not even a shadowing on the back here. There's wrinkles. There's the ink mark from my pinky from when I refilled my pen and rested my hand on the rim. Yeah, love it when I do that. But you can still see that no issues whatsoever. I can sit here and write on this. Once all of the liquid, fluid, whether it's the fluid vehicle for the pigment in the ink or the water from painting has completely dried, you can tell here it does not show through, which is great. There are a few areas where the Celadon cat got a little more saturated, but only honestly did the wrinkles show up other than my handprint. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this out for today. I still believe and feel Tomo River paper is great, and I love my Sterling ink and can't wait to get busy in 2025 planners.